How I actually think about this is I think the opportunity here is the space is 2.5 trillion today. I think it's going to 100 trillion in line with other asset classes. So that's the biggest macro trade of all time and the largest generation of wealth in all human history. That's the trade. How you want to slice and dice that? Yeah, how you want to slice and dice that's up to you. What risk tolerance you have, but that's the trade. When I first did the first piece of work on Bitcoin back in 2013, I said it was worth $1 million.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's wildly wrong. If Bitcoin's at $1 million, the space is somewhere close to my target of 100 trillion, or maybe it's 50 trillion. Doesn't matter.
Crypto is about to 50x on its from a $2 trillion asset class today to being a $100 trillion asset class by 2030. This is the latest message out from macroeconomic expert Raoul Pal. In his latest interview, Raoul broke down why, in the long run, crypto is inevitable. It doesn't matter who gets elected in November. It doesn't matter if Gary Gensler is head of the S.E.C. Crypto has reached escape velocity, and at this point, it is unstoppable. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video where Raoul breaks down where he thinks we are in the liquidity cycle, and when the infamous banana zone will begin. Also guys, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy staying up to date with finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind. Now here's Raoul on why crypto will 50x.
I don't want to give price predictions because the internet is an ugly place and you just get beaten over the head by it. So there's no point. The whole space goes up a lot. I think
over 100.
Solana does maybe 10x from here and Bitcoin does 5x or 4x from here. That kind of stuff. Typical bull market. And then there'll be the main thing that I'm starting to think through is there is always another layer one race, which is early stage when you don't have proven network effects. That bet is actually a good bet. It's not one you go all in on, but that bet was the Solana bet of last cycle, the ETH bet of the previous cycle. So I'm starting to think through that because, I don't trade, don't do anything. I just sit with my portfolio. So I'm thinking through that because I reckon there's a really good trade to come. And it's a lot of fun, but it comes very quickly and it usually gets overvalued and then goes down 95% afterwards. We've been in this space for so long and we've had China ban it 3 times, India ban it twice, the US be pro it against it, the Europeans hate it, and it's made no fucking difference.
No difference. It's over. Gensler could become the president and it wouldn't matter. It's finished. It's decentralized. It's all over the world. If the US wants to, get in the way of innovation for 4 years, somewhere else will pick it up. Look, do you remember in 2021 when we all said, oh my goodness, if China, bans Bitcoin and they kick out the miners because all the Bitcoin's being mined in China, right. It's over for the space. It's over. The thing went down for a few days.
Yeah.
Every time Europe comes out and they're going to put it's all nonsense.
It's noise. It's
telling
all
you,
noise. It's just noise.
I can't believe how many times it's just powered through all of the human stupidity out there. And Gensler is the greatest representative of that human stupidity. Seriously. So good luck. Become treasury guy. Good luck to you. I just look, all the hand wringing that goes on. I think it's part of the emotion.
Yeah, a bull market's job is to try and throw you off, right? This is a clear, clean macro case for a secular bull market that continues. So your job is just not to get thrown off by the FUD. People find every reason not to do something when all you have to do is buy it and then not do anything.
It's like this is the digitization of money and value. Sure. It's really straightforward. I don't know that anyone's going to stop that. It's just like the internet. It's the same thing. That was for ideas and information. People were afraid, dissemination of ideas. The whole world will come to an end. The world didn't end. NASDAQ went up, 50x, right? It's the same thing. So Gensler and whatever, it's not going to matter.
So there's Raoul breaking down why crypto is on an inevitable path to 50x. Despite trading essentially flat since March, there's some huge catalysts coming up. If there's one thing that markets hate, it's uncertainty. The fact that the US election is essentially a coin flip right now is weighing considerably on price. However, by November 5th, that uncertainty will be completely resolved as we will know who will be the new presidential elect. With the uncertainty cleared, crypto will be free to run upwards, which also falls in line with when prices start to go parabolic in previous cycle. Now, here's Raoul on where we are in the liquidity cycle and why he believes Bitcoin will eventually hit $1 million per coin. But before that, today's video is brought to you by Crypto.com. If you still haven't got a crypto card yet, you're living in the past. Traditional cards have annual fees and transaction charges, but the Crypto.com Visa card doesn't. You can spend your crypto anywhere, and the benefits are amazing. With your Crypto.com Visa card, earn up to 5% back in CRO rewards on every transaction. Enjoy 100% cashback on Spotify, Netflix, and Amazon as a new customer for 6 months. Get complimentary access to airport lounges with a sleek metal card. Crypto.com is giving a $25 sign-up bonus for Jamie Tree viewers. Here's how to get your $25 bonus and start earning up to 5% back. Download the Crypto.com app via the first link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Sign up using our referral code nutty for an instant $25 bonus. After approval, here's how to get your Crypto.com card. In the Crypto.com app, first tap the Card tab on the navigation panel. Select your card tier based on the required CRO staking amount. I have a Ruby Red card. You need to lock up 400 USD of CRO for 180 days, which is then unlocked. Accept terms and conditions and ensure you have sufficient CRO in your wallet for the stake period. Then, submit your delivery address. You'll then receive your Crypto.com Visa card, start making transactions, earning rewards, and enjoying the perks. To claim your $25 bonus and earn up to 5% back on transactions, click the first link in the description to get started with Crypto.com today. Now back to the video.
From 2008, we had a global debt reset. Now, as opposed to letting go of all the debts, what they did was cut interest rates to zero and said nobody needs to pay interest rates. Okay, that was a huge advantage for the system, and everybody reset their debts for this 3 to 5 year sector. So then the debt refi cycle, when they have to refinance the interest payments and the debts, drive the business cycle. The business cycle's always been the credit cycle. So now it's become almost perfectly 4 years. The only other time in history it was perfect like this was back in the 50s and 60s after World War II and the financial repression then. So there's financial repression going on, but it goes in this 4 year cycle. The 4 year cycle happens to be the crypto cycle, the US election cycle. It's all the same thing. So it doesn't matter what you label it, but there is a cycle that's going on, and we're just coming into it now, which is we've now got $10 trillion of debt to refi. You have to refi the interest payments. Usually what they do is they inject enough liquidity into the system to pay for this, because there's not enough GDP growth to pay for it all. And so we go on to the next cycle. So that's really what drives all assets right now. Everything is basically correlated. But out of that, there's one asset that does a lot better because it's got the secular adoption curve, which is crypto, plus the macro tailwind of debasement of currency and the cycle. So that's where we are in the cycle now. Zoning into election year. Well, this is when they start giving out money. They also have a lot of refi to do. So it tends to be a very good back end of the election year. And then the following year tends to be very, very strong too. But this is a global thing as well. Every major central bank is refining their debts in the same cycle. The Europeans, the Japanese, the Canadians, the Brits, and the Chinese. Now, what you always look for in these refi cycles is who's the weakest link, because they're likely the ones to do the most stimulus. It's probably China this time around. Liquidity in the US is Fed net liquidity, which is the Treasury General Account, which is the Treasury, which is the reverse repo, which is somewhere in between the Treasury and the Fed, and there's quantitative and the use of the balance sheet. So they're all three joined at the hip, and they manage that liquidity flow to manage this process. And Dan's right, because they know is once they start unleashing the spigots, then the reflexive buildup happens. And guess what? It generates capital gains. they get capital gains tax, it starts financing deficits. It's kind of, this cycle is the clearest I've ever seen macro in my life because it's so cyclical. Now, does that last forever? Probably not. But right now, it seems the most clear I've ever seen it. Generally, every time I've sold, it's been a mistake. And actually, what you should do is look forward to the bear markets and add to them. Really, I mean, I first bought Bitcoin at 200. If I'd have just kept that position, I'd have been much richer. It's stupid, right? But you get absorbed by this cycle mentality. Now, by all means, de-risk a bit, take some lifestyle chips off the table, do something. But this trade is much bigger than a cycle. And you think you're going to sell at the high and buy at the low. You've got another thing coming. You won't. And you'll miss it.
But I have some targets in mind. I mean, like I always, even in 2019, I remember talking to Raoul and, I thought we were sort of 8, 9, 10,000 Bitcoin. And I was thinking around 300, 350 within 10 years. That was sort of a nice place to, take some profit. You definitely don't reduce the whole thing, but
what would you put?
What's that?
What would you? The issue is I get to is okay. Let's say Bitcoin's at 400,000.
Yeah.
You take money off, and what the hell do you do with it?
Well, you know what? Look, having managed money for so long, you ask that same question to yourself all the time because you have a great idea, a great bet. It goes to where you think it's supposed to go, and you always think, what am I going to do with it then? But there are always new opportunities if you're open to them. So look, this is the big one. This is, as I've said many times, sort of the biggest macro investment opportunity I've ever seen.
Of all time, I think.
It is. And so, but even so, you have to risk manage a little bit. I think we're going to have some companies that are going to be going to have their IPO or be public. I mean, Circle's already announced, eToro's announced. You have companies out there discussing it. Kraken, Jason, I think you talked about with Ripley on one of yours. So there are a bunch of other companies as well that probably, so there's a natural exit for some of my positions. That meaning I'll have no choice but to sell when they go public, and the funds would at that time need to return money to investors. So, but I think, it's hard to put like a 10, 15 year, number on it. I know Jan Van Eck, he had some crazy number recently that he put out there for 2050, was it, or 2040?
2040, I think.
Yeah, that's very impressive. But I just think in terms of total dollars and value, and, gold is a $15, $20 trillion asset. We know all the other values. Bitcoin could easily be a $10 trillion dollar asset. And I think today it's 1.5, 2. So easily could get to 300,000 to 500,000, which is sort of where I thought, like rationally, it made sense. Could it do much more than that? Absolutely. But I like to have a roadmap, and I like to know where I'm going. And in my experience, when I've ignored a target, it's been a bad idea, generally speaking. I mean, yes, Raoul bought Bitcoin at 200. Okay, he sold it at 2,000, and then it went to 18,000, and he probably wanted to kill himself. But he got a shot to come back at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000, and he got a shot to come back in. But I don't worry about what I miss, right? I'm never worried about, what I'm missing. That's just not a proper way.
How I actually think about this is I think the opportunity here is the space is 2.5 trillion today. I think it's going to 100 trillion in line with other asset classes. So that's the biggest macro trade of all time and the largest generation of wealth in all human history. That's the trade. How you want to slice and dice that? Yeah, how you want to slice and dice that's up to you. What risk tolerance you have, but that's the trade. You know, when I first did the first piece of work on Bitcoin back in 2013, I said it was worth $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that's
Yeah,
wildly
really.
wrong. You know, if Bitcoin's at $1 million, yeah, the space is somewhere close to my target of 100 trillion, or maybe it's 50 trillion. Doesn't matter.
So there's Raoul's insights on why crypto is poised for such exponential growth. If his analysis resonated with you, be sure to let us know in the comments which part you found most compelling. Or if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Remember, understanding where we are in the liquidity cycle and the potential impact of the banana zone can give you an edge in navigating these volatile markets. Anyway guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's video and that it provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.